Good afternoon, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Google+. This is Rich Ian, back for your first video blog of the day for Wednesday, July 6, 2016, around 2:34 in the afternoon, Belleville, Massachusetts. Very sunny out, but very humid, over 90 degrees. Hopefully you're staying cool, drinking a lot of water, staying in the shade, and taking dips in the pool, or the lake, or the pond, or the ocean. And also, do not leave your pets in the car during this heat. Please don't let your pets inside the car for a long period of time. And some news to report last night. Texas Rangers beat the Boston Red Sox by the score of 7-2. Inconsistency for the Red Sox. The Spinners beat the Double Days by the score of 10-3. It's Happy National Fried Chicken Day. And Skip Bayless has announced for his new FS1 show he's going to have a sidekick. It's Pro Football Hall of Famer and former NFL on CBS analyst for the NFL Today, Shannon Sharp. And Ray Allen is looking at coming back to the NBA. The only two teams he wants to play for, if he decides to come back, are the Cleveland Cavaliers and the Golden State Warriors. Those teams are the prime teams to make it back to the NBA Finals next year. It would be the third straight year if that happened. That's a lock pick. The Warriors and the Cavaliers for the NBA's finals for the third straight year. The competitive balance in the NBA sucks. But I don't want to talk about it right now. And that's about it on news. My first video blog subject of the day is a continuation of the top 10 list of everything and anything. I've now reached the top 10 best professional wrestling regional territories of all time. Before cable TV and the internet, wrestling had regions where they had promoters, and they would just show the professional wrestling in the region, and they would work together with like talent exchanges. And this was a territorial system that was good into 1984, but then Vince McMahon expanded the WWE and put most of the other regional territories out of business. And here are the top 10 best regional territories of all time. Number 10 on this list is Smoky Mountain Wrestling. This came after the territory system was dead, basically, but it was a kind of an old school thing in the early 1990s, run by Jim Cornette, which promoted Smoky Mountain area of Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Tennessee, Virginia, and Kentucky. About 4 years Smoky Mountain Wrestling was in existence, and they had some talent exchanges with the WWE and the USWA. Number 9 on this list of the top 10 best professional wrestling regional territories of all time, the Memphis/CWA/UWSA territory. This was the last professional regional territory to be in existence, and it was run by Jerry Jarrett and Jerry the King Lawler. Memphis was home to the King. He won the USWA Championship and the CWA Championship too many times to count. He had legendary feud with the First Family of Wrestling, headed by the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, and so many other wrestlers and other stars wrestled for Memphis, like Jeff Jarrett and PG-13 and Brian Christopher, or Grandmaster Sexay, whatever you want to call him. Number 8 on this list of the top 10 best professional regional territories of all time, Portland Wrestling. Portland Wrestling was around for 60 years. It was run by Don Owen. They wrestled in the Portland area and in southern Washington. This territory had Rowdy Piper and Playboy Buddy Rose as its big stars, and it went into existence, and it was one of the last regional territories to die in 1992. They were actually still part of the NWA during that time, but they weren't getting a champion. And Piper was so respectful for Don Owens, he never wrestled in Portland for the WWE when they were wrestling in Portland out of show of respect for Don Owens. Number 7 on this list of the greatest professional wrestling regional territories of all time, the Mid-South / UWF territory. This was in Louisiana and Oklahoma and Arkansas. It was a very great regional territory. Lots of great stars. Hacksaw Jim Duggan, Ted DiBiase, Steve Dr. Death Williams, Junkyard Dog, the Fabulous Freebirds, and so many others. Bill Watts was the owner and the booker, and he did a pretty good job with this territory when he tried to expand it to the UWF. Most of his talent fled to like WWE or Jim Crockett Promotions, and it was the same crew for years on end, and I think eventually, the fans got sick and tired of that. Plus, in that region was the oil crunch, which killed off wrestling. Number 6 on this list of the greatest professional wrestling territories of all time, Championship Wrestling from Florida, which was promoted in Florida, Tampa, Orlando, and Miami. Eddie Graham ran this territory. It also was the start of the American Dream. Dusty Rhodes was the biggest star in this territory, and also calling the action for Championship Wrestling from Florida, the Dean of Wrestling announces the legendary Gordon Soley. No question about it. He is so sudden. His face is becoming a crimson mask. Number 5 on this list of the greatest professional wrestling regional territories of all time, Georgia Championship Wrestling. Georgia Championship Wrestling promoted throughout Georgia. It was booked by Ole Anderson. They had a time slot at 6:05 p.m. Eastern, Saturday nights on TBS. Gordon Soley called that the action, and Georgia Championship Wrestling was kind of a forerunner to WCW. Number 4 on this list of the greatest professional wrestling regional territories of all time, the AWA. The AWA was in existence for 30 years. It was owned by Vern Gagne, who was a 9-time AWA World Champion. Also Nick Bockwinkel, Vern's son Greg, Hulk Hogan, Jesse the Body Ventura, Bobby the Brain Heenan, Ken Patera. It was a who's who of names that got started in the AWA before they jumped to the WWE. Number 3 on this list of the best professional wrestling regional territories of all time, World Class Championship Wrestling, which was run by Fritz von Erich, which promoted throughout northern Texas. Fritz von Erich was the booker and the owner, and this was a vehicle for his sons, Kerry, Kevin, and David, who were the biggest stars of this territory, and they had the biggest money feud with the Fabulous Freebirds. It was probably the only big thing going for World Class Championship Wrestling, along with the syndicated throughout the United States. Number 2 on this list of the top 10 best professional wrestling regional territories of all time, Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling. Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling was promoted in North Carolina, South Carolina, Virginia, Baltimore, South Carolina, and part of Georgia, run by Jim Crockett Jr. and also David Crockett. And Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling for years was a tag team territory, then it became a singles territory, and they were the home of the NWA World Champion Ric Flair, plus other stars like Mr. One Paul Jones, Ricky the Dragon Steamboat, Greg the Hammer Valentine, Rowdy Piper, and so many others. Eventually, Mid-Atlantic Championship Wrestling was rebranded as Jim Crockett Promotions, and then the main NWA territory in the late 1980s, which evolved into WCW World Championship Wrestling. And number one on this list of the best pro wrestling regional territory of all time, the WWF and the WWF, which was run by Vince McMahon Sr. 1963, he and Toots Morris broke off from the NWA, and they got the Northeast section because Vince McMahon Senior was the main promoter of Madison Square Garden, the Philadelphia Arena, eventually the Spectrum, both Washington, D.C., and the Boston Garden. So his territory had over 100 million people with the population, and Vince McMahon Sr. built the WWE around ethnic champions, Bruno Sammartino for the Italians, and Pedro Morales for the Hispanics, because Boston, Philadelphia, and New York at that time had a very big population of Italians and Hispanic people. Plus, WWE had the three wise men for managers: Captain Lou Albano, the Grand Wizard of Wrestling, and Classy Freddie Blassie, and they had a young Vince McMahon as the announcer. That's about it on the top 10 professional wrestling regional territories of all time. Tomorrow will be about the top 10 cable networks that should be contracted. That means eliminated. And I'll be back with the second and final video blog of the night, which will be about the late great actor, comedian, TV host, Steve Allen. Keep calm, everybody. I'm a Julie Benning guy. Molly Roseblood, WCCO Roxanne has nice legs. Elizabeth Hat's so stunning. She's the best. Amy Swensey's awesome. Linda Church of WPX Channel 11 has nice legs. And Papa Gibbs of ABC 11 has a sweet southern accent. And in the words of Bob Redding, former executive director, Boys and Girls Club of Greater Billerica, that's a possibility. Bye now.